Welcome to Pressure Points. This is a deja vu episode. The topic is the White House gives the green light for Nvidia to sell the H20 lower powered chips to China. The reason why deja vu, of course, is that we talked about this in the middle of July and then some of the trade negotiations. It was on again, off again, but here we are on again. As far as what the stock's reacting to, the news, rumored, kind of broke around 1 o'clock Eastern time. If you take where the stock was just before the rumor broke to where it was after President Trump confirmed this on social media after the market closed, it's up about 5%. It was up about 4% back in July when the news came out. So kind of a similar reaction to what we saw a few months ago. The news specifically is that they'll be able to sell the H20 chips again. That's point number one. Point number two, there's going to be a 25% tax, essentially a tariff on Chinese customers for these chips. And then the third piece to consider is what was the revenue per quarter of these chips before they ended up getting blocked. And then we have to go back and look in the spring. In the April quarter, it was about $7.5 billion in revenue. So we can have some context to, if you assume that $7.5 billion is kind of a standard number and doesn't grow because it's going to be, the products are going to be 25% more expensive, that would add 30 billion essentially to Nvidia's total revenue for calendar 26. So we'll jump into the pressure point. What does that mean? What does that 30 billion in revenue mean for the numbers? It takes the growth rate from 51% to the mid 60s, 66 to be exact. And so it is a meaningful step up. I think the up 5% in the after hours, well, you have a growth rate going up, I think more than what that 5% justifies, is I think representative of still investors that this is not for real, that something could change, and understandably so, things have changed. And so it's really hard to get a ton of confidence for many investors around, what is the true growth for Nvidia and what's it going to look like in calendar 26 and calendar 27. That concern plays itself out in the multiple. It trades at 23 times next year's earnings, and that compares to the rest of the Mag 7, excluding Tesla, which has a higher multiple, which trades at 28 times next year's earnings. And so you've got a discount, 23 versus 28, but not only is there a discount, the growth rates, I mentioned that mid 60% likely growth for calendar 25, probably even higher than that as they go through the year for calendar 26 for Nvidia. That compares to about a 12% growth for the Mag 7, the rest of the Mag 7. And so if you look at the kind of a peg ratio on this, Nvidia shares are most attractive, but of course that doesn't address the kind of underlying concern that what's going on in China may not be sustainable with the H20s, and who knows how long this epic growth is going to continue when it comes to the hyperscalers and the bigger AI build out. So I just want to end with a quick thought on the growth rate and kind of how I believe that this is going to play out. And I still am in the camp that we're early in the AI infrastructure build out. That may seem a little bit disconnected with reality, given Nvidia's business has gone from 25 billion a year, expected to be 350 billion next year. That was over a 4-year period. But I do believe that we are still early. I think that the infrastructure investments will probably be at a higher than expected growth rate for the next 2 or 3 years. And so when I put this together, I think NVIDIA is in a great place to continue to exceed what will be increasingly high numbers. And I do think that the stock will be rewarded, not fully rewarded, because it will never shake that concern that we're 2 quarters away from the party ending. That will always have a negative impact on the multiple. But I think that there is such a gap between the growth rate relative to the multiple today that shares of NVIDIA are most attractive here. We do own it at Deepwater, and on behalf of a Deja Vu episode on NVIDIA and the H20, bye for now.